Imagine a woman waking up every morning in a house that feels half empty, a heart that feels heavy, and dreams that seem paused. She used to define herself through someone else, her partner, her support, but today she stands alone. And yet, in this solitude, something extraordinary begins to happen. She starts discovering her own strength, her own voice, and her own purpose in ways she never imagined. If you're watching this, maybe you feel stuck, lonely, or unsure how to move forward without someone by your side. This video will not just comfort you, it will transform the way you see yourself and your life. By the end, you'll uncover 7 powerful truths about thriving as a woman on your own, truths that can turn solitude into your greatest strength. The first key point is she discovers her own strength. When a woman walks alone, she encounters a truth that few understand until they face it themselves. Strength is not measured by how loudly the world applauds you, but by how quietly you rise when no one is watching. Every tear she sheds becomes a lesson in resilience. Every setback she faces without support becomes a silent proof that she can endure more than she ever imagined. She begins to see that her body, mind, and spirit are far more capable than she ever gave them credit for, and that realization changes the way she approaches everything in life. Strength, she learns, is not about showing off power, it is about quietly surviving, adapting, and moving forward when the storm rages around her. This journey into her own strength starts in the small, unseen moments. Waking up alone and finding the courage to face the day, paying bills without assistance, making decisions that affect her life. All of these are exercises in personal power. She begins to notice how each small victory compounds, building a fortress of self-confidence around her. What once felt impossible, the late nights of worry, the moments of doubt, gradually become the building blocks of her resilience. She starts to understand that the true measure of strength is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. And in this realization, she begins to stand taller, speak with more certainty, and trust herself in ways she never thought possible. As she continues on this path, she discovers that strength is also about embracing vulnerability. Many think strength is the ability to hide weakness, but she learns that real power comes from facing her emotions head on. She cries when she needs to cry, she admits when she does not have all the answers, and she seeks help when necessary, but never as a crutch. This vulnerability does not weaken her, it fuels her growth. She becomes a woman who can feel deeply, act decisively, and respond to challenges with clarity. In solitude, she learns that strength is not a rigid shield, it is a living, breathing part of her that grows stronger each time she faces life without leaning on someone else. Another aspect of her strength is the clarity it brings to her priorities. Without a life partner dictating or influencing her choices, she begins to see what truly matters. She stops chasing approval or seeking validation from others and instead focuses on her goals, her dreams, and her values. This clarity becomes a guiding compass, helping her navigate life with purpose. Each decision she makes strengthens her autonomy, reinforcing the idea that she is the author of her own story. No one can dictate her path, no circumstance can permanently shake her, and no external expectation can limit her. She realizes that the most profound strength lies in self-determination. Physical and emotional endurance are also tested during this journey. She learns to push beyond her comfort zone because there is no one else to catch her if she falls. She takes risks she might never have considered, knowing that her survival depends on her courage and resourcefulness. Whether it's traveling alone, taking on a new challenge at work, or pursuing a passion that others might dismiss, she discovers that every leap she takes builds not only skill but a deep-seated confidence in her own capabilities. Strength becomes a habit ingrained in every action, thought, and choice she makes. Finally, she experiences the transformative power of self-reliance. When no one else is there to lift her, she learns to lift herself, not just for survival but to thrive. This self-reliance is not isolation, it is empowerment. It allows her to celebrate her accomplishments without needing an audience, to find joy in her own presence, and to face adversity with a fierce independence that commands respect. Over time, she realizes that the woman she has become is someone she might never have known if she had always relied on others. In losing dependency, she gains something far more valuable, the knowledge that she is enough, fully and completely, just as she is. The second key point is she understands her true value. When a woman is without a life partner, she is confronted with the reality that no one else defines who she is. Only she can. In the absence of constant companionship, she begins to reflect deeply on her own identity, her passions and her dreams. The world may have conditioned her to seek validation from others, to believe that her worth is tied to someone's presence beside her, but solitude strips away that illusion. Slowly, she starts to see that her value was never conditional, never dependent on approval or attention. It simply exists, inherent and unshakable. This understanding begins in the quiet moments. When no one is watching and no one is judging, she learns to recognize her achievements, her sacrifices, and the little ways she contributes to the world. Each act of kindness, each personal victory, and even each lesson learned from failure reinforces her awareness that she is enough. She starts to measure her worth, not by how others respond to her, but by the integrity with which she lives her life. This shift transforms her perspective. She no longer seeks someone to validate her because she has begun to validate herself, and that internal approval becomes the most powerful force in her life. She also discovers that understanding her true value allows her to set boundaries. Without a partner influencing her choices, she becomes more aware of what she will accept and what she will not. She no longer compromises her principles or dreams to fit someone else's expectations. Every no she speaks, every decision to protect her time and energy becomes a reflection of self-respect. And with this newfound clarity, she notices a remarkable change. People start treating her differently, not because she demands it, but because she refuses to diminish herself. Her value is visible, undeniable, and magnetic. Another profound realization is how her self-worth impacts her relationships, even in the absence of a partner. Friends, family, colleagues, they begin to see her confidence, her certainty, her ability to stand alone, and it influences the way they interact with her. She no longer tolerates toxicity, manipulation, or indifference, because she understands she does not need to. Each interaction becomes intentional, each connection chosen, not out of necessity, but out of respect for herself. In recognizing her own value, she silently teaches others how to value her too. She also finds freedom in this discovery. When she stops seeking validation from a partner or anyone else, she is free to pursue her true desires without hesitation. Hobbies, career goals, personal growth, these are no longer secondary to someone else's timeline or priorities. She realizes that living authentically, according to her own sense of purpose and joy, is far more fulfilling than trying to fit into a mold defined by external expectations. Her life becomes an expression of her worth, a testament to the fact that she is complete and capable on her own. Finally, she learns that understanding her value is not arrogance, it is liberation. It is the quiet, steady confidence that she can navigate life's challenges without losing herself. She begins to recognize the difference between love and dependence, between partnership and self-definition. By valuing herself fully, she builds a foundation that no circumstance can shake. She becomes a woman who walks through the world unapologetically, not in search of affirmation, but in full awareness of her own power and significance. In embracing her value, she transforms solitude into strength and independence into dignity. The third key point is she builds unshakable independence. When a woman stands without a life partner, she quickly realizes that the responsibility for her life rests entirely on her shoulders. There is no one to rely on for emotional support, financial decisions, or even daily encouragement. Initially, this can feel overwhelming, even frightening, but over time, it becomes a training ground for profound personal growth. Every decision she makes, every challenge she faces alone, strengthens her ability to trust herself and her judgment. Independence is no longer an abstract concept, it becomes the very foundation of her existence. As she navigates life alone, she begins to see that independence is not simply about surviving, it is about thriving. She learns to manage her finances, her time, and her priorities with precision. She makes choices based on what aligns with her values and goals, rather than seeking comfort in someone else's guidance or approval. This level of self-reliance teaches her to be strategic, disciplined, and intentional with her actions. In this process, she discovers that independence is not isolation, it is empowerment. She can make mistakes, learn from them, and continue moving forward without fear of judgment or reliance on external reassurance. Emotional independence is another layer she cultivates. Without a partner, she is forced to confront her own feelings, to process her own pain, and to celebrate her own victories. She learns to soothe herself in moments of despair, to motivate herself when energy falters, and to maintain her mental and emotional balance even in the absence of constant companionship. Over time, she realizes that her emotional state is no longer dictated by someone else's presence or absence. She becomes her own anchor, her own source of comfort, and her own motivator. This internal stability becomes a cornerstone of her independence. Independence also reshapes the way she approaches relationships. Once a woman experiences true autonomy, she no longer seeks a partner out of need or fear of loneliness. She understands that a healthy relationship is a partnership of equals, not a lifeline to fill a void. Her independence allows her to choose connections that enrich her life rather than define it. She approaches love and friendship with clarity, confidence, and boundaries that protect her well-being. In this way, independence becomes a filter, ensuring that every relationship she cultivates is intentional, meaningful, and mutually respectful. She also learns to tackle life's practical challenges on her own. From navigating her career, managing her home, or handling unforeseen crises, she develops problem-solving skills that become second nature. Each obstacle she overcomes independently adds to her sense of competence and self-assurance. The small victories, fixing a leaky pipe, negotiating a contract, or advocating for herself in difficult situations, accumulate into a powerful recognition. She is capable of more than she ever imagined. Independence is not just about doing things alone, it is about proving to herself repeatedly that she can. Finally, building unshakable independence transforms her sense of freedom. She no longer feels tethered to expectations or obligations imposed by others. She can make decisions that serve her personal growth, pursue passions that ignite her soul, and structure her life in a way that aligns with her true desires. In this freedom, she discovers joy, confidence, and creativity that were previously constrained by dependency. Independence becomes more than a skill. It becomes a state of being, a declaration that she is complete, capable, and free to live life on her own terms. The fourth key point is she finds clarity in life's purpose. When a woman is without a life partner, the distractions of pleasing someone else or fitting into another's expectations begin to fade. In the quiet of her own life, she is faced with the powerful question, who am I and what do I truly want? At first, this question can feel daunting because she has spent so much time defining herself in relation to others. Yet, as she sits with it, she begins to peel back the layers, discovering passions, dreams, and aspirations that have always existed but were buried beneath external obligations and societal pressures. As she explores her purpose, she begins to notice patterns in her thoughts and actions that reveal what truly matters to her. She identifies her core values, the principles she will not compromise, and the goals that light a fire within her soul. Without a partner shaping her decisions or providing a safety net, each choice she makes becomes a reflection of her authentic self. This clarity brings a sense of empowerment. She can now navigate her life with intentionality, knowing that every step aligns with her inner truth rather than someone else's vision. The process of discovering purpose also helps her to confront fear. She realizes that pursuing her passions alone may involve risk, uncertainty, or even judgment from others. Yet, with no one else to shield or influence her, she learns to face these fears head on. Each act of courage, whether it is pursuing a new career, traveling solo, or investing in personal growth, cements her understanding that she is capable of more than she imagined. Purpose becomes the compass that guides her through challenges, giving her strength and resilience when life feels uncertain. This clarity also transforms the way she views her relationships and interactions. She no longer invests energy in people, places, or activities that do not serve her growth. Time becomes precious, and she uses it intentionally to nourish her mind, body, and spirit. She begins to surround herself with people and environments that align with her vision, creating a life that is cohesive, meaningful, and fulfilling. In doing so, she discovers that clarity of purpose is not just about individual goals. It is about shaping a life that resonates with her deepest sense of identity. Finding purpose also deepens her understanding of her own potential. She sees that without reliance on a partner, she is free to experiment, fail, and learn in ways that would have been impossible if she had always sought approval or avoided risk. Each experience, each lesson, and even each mistake becomes a building block for self-realization. She learns to listen to her intuition, trust her judgment, and take decisive action that propels her toward the life she envisions. Purpose becomes both a destination and a journey, guiding her growth in ways that are profoundly personal and transformative. Finally, this clarity fosters a quiet confidence that radiates through every aspect of her life. She moves with intention, speaks with conviction, and makes choices that reflect a deep understanding of who she is and what she stands for. Her clarity becomes visible to others, inspiring respect, admiration, and even quiet awe. She realizes that by understanding herself fully, she is no longer adrift in the currents of expectation or circumstance. She is anchored, focused, and empowered, walking through life with a sense of direction that is uniquely hers, unshakable and unwavering. The fifth key point is she creates her own happiness. When a woman lives without a life partner, she quickly realizes that waiting for someone else to bring joy into her life is a futile pursuit. Happiness cannot be outsourced. It cannot be borrowed or demanded from another person. She begins to understand that the source of true contentment lies within herself. In the absence of someone to lean on, she learns to nurture her own joy, to celebrate the small victories, and to find beauty in everyday moments that might have gone unnoticed when her focus was on another person. She discovers that creating her own happiness requires intentionality. It is not a passive experience. It is an active, daily practice. She makes choices that align with her values, engages in activities that ignite her passion, and surrounds herself with experiences that uplift her spirit. Whether it is pursuing a creative hobby, exploring new places, or dedicating time to self-care, each act becomes a deliberate step toward building a life filled with satisfaction and meaning. She realizes that joy is a skill she can cultivate, and the more she invests in herself, the richer her emotional life becomes. This journey also teaches her the importance of self-compassion. Without a partner to provide reassurance, she must learn to be gentle with herself, to celebrate her efforts, and to forgive her mistakes. She begins to understand that happiness is not about perfection or constant success, but about embracing life fully with all its imperfections. By treating herself with kindness and understanding, she creates an internal environment where contentment can flourish. The realization that she is her own source of comfort and encouragement transforms the way she interacts with herself and the world. She also learns as she becomes more skilled at creating her own happiness. She notices its ripple effect on her relationships. She attracts people who enhance her life rather than complete it. She can give love, kindness, and support without expecting it in return because her joy is not conditional. Her interactions become more authentic, more grounded, and more meaningful. She realizes that a content, fulfilled person naturally draws positive energy and fosters deeper connections, but always from a place of self-sufficiency rather than neediness. Finally, she experiences a profound sense of liberation through this self-created happiness. She is no longer bound by the fear of loneliness, nor does she seek validation to feel worthy. Her joy is hers alone, unshakable and resilient, cultivated through her choices and mindset. She moves through life with a lightness that comes from knowing she can be complete, joyful, and vibrant on her own. In this freedom, she discovers a power that is quietly transformative, the ability to live fully, deeply, and authentically, without relying on anyone else to spark her inner light. The sixth key point is she inspires others without knowing it. When a woman navigates life without a life partner, the quiet strength she exhibits becomes a beacon to those around her, even if she never intends it. People notice the way she carries herself, the way she faces challenges head on, and the way she maintains her dignity in moments of solitude. Her resilience becomes contagious, silently teaching others that they too can rise above their circumstances. Often, she underestimates the impact of her example, unaware that simply living authentically and courageously leaves a lasting impression on those who witness it. Her journey of self-reliance and empowerment shows others that true strength is not always loud or visible. It is found in the everyday choices, the small victories, and the determination to keep moving forward despite adversity. Friends, family members, and even strangers observe her ability to handle life independently, and they begin to see new possibilities for themselves. The courage she demonstrates without fanfare, whether in pursuing a dream, making tough decisions, or embracing her solitude, serves as a silent lesson in strength, does not require validation, and perseverance is often the quietest revolution. She inspires not just women, but men as well. In a society that often underestimates the power of a woman standing alone, her example becomes transformative. Men witness a woman whose life is full and vibrant despite not being tethered to a partner. They see confidence, self-respect, and a sense of purpose that commands admiration without needing approval. Through her actions, she redefines what it means to be independent, demonstrating that worth is not dictated by relationships or societal expectations. In doing so, she shifts perceptions and broadens the understanding of strength and resilience. Her influence also extends to those who are struggling with their own challenges. People who feel trapped, dependent, or undervalued often find inspiration in her story. By observing her determination and self-sufficiency, they begin to question their own limitations and start exploring what they are capable of. She becomes a quiet motivator, proving that transformation is possible without relying on external support. Her journey demonstrates that inner strength, self-awareness, and purpose-driven living can create ripples of change far beyond what she might ever realize. She inspires through authenticity as well. The confidence she radiates comes not from perfection, but from embracing herself fully, flaws and all. Others see that she is unafraid to be vulnerable, to fail, and to rise again, and they are encouraged to do the same. Her life becomes a testament to the power of being true to oneself, showing that real courage is found not in grand gestures, but in the consistent choice to live with honesty and integrity. Her example encourages others to shed fear, self-doubt, and dependency, and to step into their own strength with intention. Finally, her impact grows quietly, yet profoundly over time. Each act of resilience, each decision made from a place of self-respect, each moment of happiness she creates on her own contributes to a legacy of inspiration. Even without seeking recognition or admiration, her life becomes a guidepost for others navigating their own paths. People learn from her that independence, courage, and authenticity are not just ideals, they are achievable realities. Her influence is enduring, subtle yet undeniable, proving that living fully and intentionally can inspire transformation in ways that words alone never could. The seventh key point is she prepares for love on her own terms. When a woman learns to live fully and independently without a life partner, she discovers that love is not about filling a void, but about complementing the life she has already built. She no longer fears being alone because she understands that her completeness does not depend on anyone else. This realization transforms the way she approaches relationships, shifting her focus from neediness or dependency to choice and mutual respect. She becomes selective, intentional, and confident in what she seeks, knowing that any partnership must enhance rather than define her life. In this process, she gains clarity about what she truly desires in a partner. She understands that love should never be a replacement for self-worth, but rather a shared journey between two complete individuals. She looks for qualities that align with her values, respect her independence, and support her growth. By defining her expectations with precision, she ensures that she does not settle for less than she deserves. Her experiences of solitude teach her that compromise should never come at the cost of authenticity, and that a relationship built on equality and understanding is far more fulfilling than one born out of necessity. She also learns to approach love without fear. The vulnerabilities she has faced alone, the moments of doubt, heartbreak, and disappointment have strengthened her emotional resilience. She no longer fears rejection or the possibility of loss because she has discovered that her life remains whole regardless of external circumstances. This courage allows her to enter relationships with openness and honesty, free from pretense or insecurity. Love, for her, becomes a conscious choice rather than an act of desperation, and this distinction changes the very nature of her connections. Her independence also allows her to recognize unhealthy patterns before they take root. By understanding her worth and living autonomously, she can see early signs of imbalance, manipulation, or disrespect in potential partners. She refuses to compromise her values or allow anyone to diminish her. This discernment ensures that her relationships are nurturing, balanced, and based on mutual respect. She becomes a woman who can love fully, yet not blindly, and who can walk away when a connection fails to honor her self-respect. She discovers that being ready for love on her own terms also requires patience. Without the pressure to find a partner to complete her, She allows herself to wait for someone who truly complements her life rather than rushing into a relationship out of loneliness or societal expectation. Her experiences of solitude teach her the value of timing and discernment, and she learns to trust that the right person will come into her life naturally without forcing the process. This patience becomes a reflection of her self assuredness and inner peace, showing that love flourishes most when it arrives in alignment with her purpose. Finally, she experiences a profound transformation in how she gives and receives love. Because she has built her life independently, her love is generous rather than desperate, conscious rather than automatic. She can offer kindness, support, and partnership without losing herself in the process. The relationships she forms are no longer about dependence. They are about connection, growth, and shared joy. By preparing for love on her own terms, she ensures that when it enters her life, it amplifies her strength, her clarity, and her happiness, creating a bond that is truly equal, enduring, and transformative. And so, to every woman standing strong without a life partner, know this: your journey is not a story of lack, but a story of power. Every challenge you face, every choice you make alone, is shaping a woman who is resilient, wise, and unstoppable. You are learning to value yourself, to create your own happiness, and to stand firmly in your purpose. The life you build today, with courage and intention, becomes the foundation for love, joy, and fulfillment on your own terms. Remember, being alone does not mean being incomplete.